Hello everyone. Today we're going to learn daily Tanya 4, Kaf Vav El Tafshin Pei Daled. So we started yesterday. We asked a very profound question on the Arizal. The Arizal mentions at some point that Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't able to understand Chochmah Ilah, the internal, what we described at least the emanation of Chochmah Ilah being the kind of internal coherence of the laws of the universe, right? Whether we're talking about spiritual law or we're talking about physical laws and so on. So today what we're going to do is we're going to start explaining how, in other words, how it is that what we said earlier can be possible. That on the one hand, Moshe Rabbeinu didn't even fully grasp the internal nature of Chochmah Ilah, of this high wisdom. Yet the Arizal seems to be able to speak on it, not freely, but extensively. So let's get into it. Okay, so this big question, I love how Tanya starts this way. In other words, this big question that seems very, very perplexing to us, he says, this is very simple and very easy to understand. שיש הפרש גדול בין השגת חכמי האמת, כרבי שמעון בר יוחאי והאריזל, שהיא השגת חוכמה ודעת, okay, so there's a difference between the kind of understanding that Chachmei HaEmes, right, those who study the esoteric, the secrets of Jewish wisdom, there's a difference between what they're able to grasp and what Moshe Rabbeinu is able to grasp. Their understanding is of Chochmah V'das. Okay, it's a kind of conceptual understanding. Okay? ובין השגת משה רבנו ושאר הנביאים בנבואה המכונה בכתיב בשם ראייה ממש. Okay, whereas on the other hand, Moshe Rabbeinu's understanding and that of the Nevi'im was we call it visionary understanding, right? It describes them as seeing. V'ra'ita et achorai, right? It says, and you shall see my back. Va'era et Hashem, and I saw Hashem. Va'yera elai Hashem, and Hashem made himself visible to me, or to him. Va'yera elav Hashem, right? Ve'af shezeu derech mashal, ve'ino riyat ein basar gashmi mamash, right? And he said, of course, though God is not an object that is being observed, right? There's a need to clarify this, at least for some people. However, he says, Mikol makom, hanimshal tzarich liot domeh lamashal. However, if this is a mashal, if this is a metaphor, then the metaphor needs to at least reflect something about which it's speaking, right? You're not going to give a metaphor that has no relation to that for which it is a metaphor. וכתרגום, וירא אליו השם, right? And as the translation, the Uncos translation says, וירא אליו Hashem, and Hashem was seen to him, ויתגליה לי. ויתגליה in Aramaic means that he was revealed to him, and Hashem revealed himself to him. וכולי. שהוא בחינת התגלות, שנגלה אליו הנעלם ברוך הוא, בבחינת התגלות. Okay, so what this means is that with the Nevi'im, with the prophets, especially with Moshe Rabbeinu, there was a revelation. Okay, this was not an understanding through some sort of conceptualization, through some sort of work of the mind, but there was a revelation. And this is very interesting if you think about how the Rambam conceives of Nevuah, as opposed to how Nevuah is being described right here. What's very interesting is that, at least in my understanding of the Rambam, and if you have a better understanding of the Rambam, please, I feel awkward saying this, please comment on the video. Like, please actually let me know. I would really, really like to know if I'm getting this wrong. I will look into this, God willing. But it seems to me that the Rambam understands Nevuah as a kind of extension of mental work. Whereas here, the Alter Rebbe seems to be saying it's qualitatively different. Now, you can say Gavra Karamis. Okay, fine. Maybe the Alter Rebbe has machlekes in the Rambam. Maybe he does. But I'm curious if that's the case. So please let me know in the comments if you know, and point me to sources, please. Right. So what we're saying here is that God revealed himself to the Nevi'im, whereas Chachmei HaEmes, what he's going to say, מה שאין כן בהשגת חכמי האמת שלא נגלה עליהם הוויה נעלם ברוך הוא, בבחינת התגלות, רק שהם משיגים תעלומות חוכמה בנעלם ומופלא מהם. Okay, so there wasn't a divine revelation that was given to the Arizal or Rashbi in the same way that it was revealed to the prophets, but they, with the power of their minds and their understanding, were able to sort of grasp things theologically, conceptually. These things were mysterious even to them. And that's why they said a chacham, a wise person, is greater than a prophet. Why? שיכול להשיג בחוכמתו למעלה ממדרגות שיוכלו לירד למטה בבחינת התגלות לנביאים במראה נבואתם. Okay, because they can understand things that are in the heavens above without them having to be revealed directly. Okay, this understanding is obviously somewhat synthetic. It's derived, but there's an understanding there, whereas these things cannot properly be revealed. Certainly not as they are. כי לא יוכלו לרדת ולהתגלות עליהם, רק מדרגות התחתונות שהן נצח עוד יסוד מלכות. Right? Because, in other words, there's no shaykhis to revelation or chokhmah ilah, for the high wisdom, for the sort of deep, secret coherence that sort of makes the world look like something rather than random nothingness. You know, something that informs why beauty is beautiful, right? Why truth is true, right? In other words, why is it that we have the impression that things should be one way and not another, and why things are one way and not another, and so on. This cannot be revealed directly. That wouldn't. That doesn't work with the way the world is set up. Only Netzach Hod Yesod Malchus, right, which are, as we said, these sort of different ways to relate to the absolute, right? That's about as high as you can get, right? You have the absolute, and you can relate to it. You can either be in awe of the distance between you and the absolute, or you can try to overcome that distance. We could get into the sort of tragic nature of both, which is a whole, actually, another very interesting conversation. But, and then you have sort of Yesod, which is the proper melding of the two, the sort of noble bearing that comes from the sense of when to try to overcome and draw toward the absolute, and when to pull back and realize your lowliness, right? David Melech is in some ways, the quintessential version of this. Yosef Tzaddik is even more so the quintessential version of this. And then there's Malchus, which is sort of the space in which revelation itself happens. It's the making of space for revelation. So those are the four aspects rather, that can be revealed. The rest of it is what is being the rest of it is being revealed in those four, but cannot be revealed outside of them. שהן היורדות תמיד ומתגלות בהם משפיע למקבל בבחינת מוחין וחיות כידוע לו ידיכם. Right? So he says, as the Kabbalists know, those are the four aspects that reveal themselves and give life to the to the level below. Right? The lowest part of the higher world becomes the highest part of the lower world. It sort of clothes itself in the highest part of the lower world. And that's kind of how revelation happens. We spoke about this a few months ago. שנצח הוד יסוד מלכות של העליון, right, the נצח הוד יסוד malchus of the higher, מתלבשים בתחתון, clothe themselves in the lower, להחיותו, to give it life. שהן כלי ההשפעה וההורדה, because these are the vessels for giving over for the revelation, החיות מהעולם העליון לתחתון, for the giving over of life from the higher world to the lower world. This is true בכל העולמות, in all of the worlds, והמדרגות, and on all of the levels. ולכן גם כן, and for this reason as well, הן המתגלות לנביאים בבחינת התגלות ממש. And it's for this reason that these are also the aspects that are revealed, or that are at least the vessels of revelation for the Nevi'im, to the prophets. ובתוכן בבחינת התגלות ממש. These are the things that are actually revealed. ובתוכן מלובש אור הבינה, and within them is clothed the light of being, the light of understanding, right, which we said is a sort of elaboration of this internal coherence, where you could imagine Bina as sort of, like we discussed yesterday. I'm not going to get into it. It's already going quite long. שהיא בחינת הבנת האלוקות מאור אין סוף. So this is the understanding of God's divine work from Or Ein Sof. ובתוכם מלובשים אחוריהם דחוכמה. And in this Bina is clothed, or is revealed, again in a secret way, the back of Chokhmah, of wisdom, שהיא מדרגה שלמעלה מהשכל וההבנה באלוקות ברוך הוא. And this is an even higher level than can be sort of understood and conceptualized, when we're talking about God. כי שם חוכמה, because the word חוכמה, מורה על מקור השכל וההבנה. It refers to the source of mind and understanding, וההבנה. ולכן אמרו בזוהר, דאורייתא מחוכמה נפקת. And that's why they say in the Zohar that Torah comes from Chokhmah, it comes from wisdom, right? It is the elaboration of wisdom. כי טעמי מצוות לא נתגלו, because the reasons for the commandments, they have not been revealed. והם למעלה מהשכל וההבנה, and they are beyond our mind's ability to understand. וגם באיזו מקומות שנתגלה ונתפרש, איזה טעם הוא מובן לנו לכאורה, and even in places where there was revealed some sort of reason for why we do one mitzvah or another, even then, אין זה הטעם המובן לנו לבדות תכלית הטעם וגבולות. This is not the full extent of the reason. Right? If God said the reason for doing a certain commandment was A or B, this does not mean that if A or B seem to us for whatever reason to be irrelevant, then the mitzvah becomes irrelevant. No, the reasons are deeper and far beyond our understanding. אלא בתוכו מלובש פנימיות ותעלומות חוכמה שלמעלה מהשכל וההבנה. Okay, and within this reason for the mitzvah, within this mitzvah, there is what you call the seed of the high chokhmah. There's within it a wisdom that is beyond our comprehension. וכן בכל דיבור ודיבור שיצא מפי הקדוש ברוך הוא, and so with every statement and every word that comes out of the mouth of God, לנביאים הכתובים בתנ"ך, right? This is with every sort of one of God's statements in Tanakh, in the Hebrew Bible. הן דברי תוכחה, also, whether they're words of rebuke, והן סיפורי מעשיות, and whether they're tales of deeds that occurred. מלובש בתוכם מבחינת חוכמת אלוקות שלמעלה מהשכל וההבנה. Okay? There is within every word, every letter of the Torah, there is a divine wisdom that is beyond our understanding, that is above understanding, that its origin precedes the origin of our own minds. Okay, and as we said months ago, nothing can truly comprehend its origin. And by the way, I'll say the attempt to comprehend your origin, that's what is really meant by the Oedipus complex. And this is seen by Freud and by others as a basic temptation and drive that needs to be overcome by man. In other words, the point is not to actually take charge of your origin. The reason Oedipus is the story is because when you try to take control of your origin, right, when you try to depose your father and take control of your mother, take control of your origin, you end up blind. If you know how the story ends, you you actually end up with even less understanding than before. So we can't comprehend our origins, and the Torah comes from something that is beyond our origin. We exist, if you will, within a world where the Torah is a fundamental part of the existence of the universe. And he's going to give us an example of things in the Torah that sort of signal at the Torah coming from a place that is beyond our understanding. As we could see, with our own eyes, with the matter of the way that the words of the Torah are read versus the way the words of the Torah are written. There are places in the Torah where the words are written a certain way but read a different way. Because the way the words are read are according to our understanding. והכתיב הוא למעלה מהשכל וההבנה שהתיבה הזו ככתיבתה, אין לה לבוש בבחינת ההבנה, אין לה לבוש בבחינת ההבנה. Okay, so the way we read the words, that's according to our understanding, but the way that the words are written is according to a higher wisdom. That sometimes certain aspects of it can be grasped within the words, and sometimes there's a distance there. Right? We see the shaktivazu kichtivata. Right? The way that the word is written doesn't have it isn't revealed in our understanding. But the way we read it, there is an understanding of it. It is comprehensible to us. And this is the case also with the large letters of Tanakh, right? There are certain words which have letters that are written according to tradition. They are written larger or smaller. These come from a sort of higher place of our understanding. They're beyond the meaning they signify is beyond the way the word is read. Right, beyond the sort of grammatical, textual understanding of the word. Which are from a higher world, and they shine and they are revealed. Right, they sort of reveal something about the letter itself. The letter is not clothed in a word. The letter is not clothed in grammar, but it is just a revelation of the letter as it is, so to speak. Now, this is very difficult to understand, all of this, but I think we've begun sort of describing the difference between the revelation of a Navi, a prophet, of Moshe Rabbeinu as the father of all prophets, and the revelation of a Chacham, of a theologian, a Kabbalist, so a mystic. Whereas the mystic, the theologian, he can sort of speak about things, right? And his ability to speak about is not limited to the same degree. He can speak about High Chokhmah, just like we did just now. But a Navi, a prophet, these things are revealed to him. So when a Chacham speaks about these higher things, he's able to sort of grasp them to a certain extent, but whatever he can draw down into words, that's what you get. What you see is what you get. Whereas with a Navi, when things are revealed to him, what he's able to draw down into the world is far beyond what he can himself understand. It is a revelation of the infinite, of the absolute within the world. So that's sort of how I feel we're starting to understand this distinction, and we'll continue tomorrow. So take care.